Hey, welcome to episode 31 of the Cellarcast. Last episode was a little weird. Um, yeah, I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm getting tested technically tomorrow. I'm recording this late at night. This is going to come out a day later. I'm sorry about that. This is going to come out on Tuesday instead of a Monday. Because a funny little thing happened where my sleep schedule got all messed up because of the COVID. Because I was sleeping so much and just resting and not doing anything, and it made my sleep all weird. And I'm trying to fix it, but right now I'm in this thing where I wake up at like 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and then fall asleep at like 4 p.m. the next day. It's not great. I don't really like it, but I'm trying to fix it. So, yeah, so I woke up yesterday and at 8 p.m. or so. And I was like, I went through most of my day, and then around the morning I was like, I wanna play. I had the hankering to do some Street Fighter V combo trials. I should mention, recent upgrade. I just bought a new hard drive. It came in, and it's a hard disk drive. I ordered a 10 terabyte hard drive, basically just because I just want more storage. I've been working with like a 500 gig SSD for the last year, which, just because I'm me, I filled up really fast, and that was kind of becoming a limiting factor. First of all, because it's not really 500 gigs, it's more like 475. I can actually look at how much. 476 gigabytes, actually, in actuality, just because of the way. Is it firmware? Is that what firmware is? So heck, I lost my train of thought. I ate like a few minutes ago, and I think it kind of slowed my brain down, weirdly enough. I was starving, and I just like, let me just make 2 burgers, and I did. So, I wanted to get more storage for a few reasons. Number one is there's video ideas. Have I mentioned this? I don't remember what I say or what I don't say. There's video ideas that I want to do, but I haven't been able to because if there's like a game that is like 20 hours or something that I want to talk about, I cannot hold that footage. I don't have enough space to hold that footage. With 10 terabytes, I can. So, there's that. I can now archive all of my videos. I've been slightly, paranoid about, I don't know, my channel getting nuked or something like that. No real reason, it's just one of those things you think about, because I haven't been able to keep all of my videos, I haven't been able to do that. So now I can actually keep backups of them and store them safely. And then also I can download more games. I can actually download games, which is what a lot of people use HDDs for. So if you're not familiar, what a lot of people do who expand their storage when they build their PC, or who just, build PCs, what they'll do is they'll have an SSD, and they'll have an SSD and an HDD. So they'll have a solid state and a hard disk drives. And basically a solid state drive is a newer technology that is faster, so it pulls stuff up faster. Hard disk drive is slower. However, the main difference between them is basically cost to storage efficiency. or cost to storage. Yeah, that's basically what I mean. So an SSD is much faster, but it's more expensive for less storage. An HDD is technically slower, although it's not usually really too bad. It's technically slower, but you can fit way more. So my HDD, which is 10 terabytes, mind you, was about $360, $370, something like that. I'm not sure what SSD prices are like, but if I just look up like SSD, if I just go to prices, if I look up like an equivalently priced something in the $300 range, a 370, yeah, like a $380 SSD would be about 4 terabytes. So like that is a lot of space, but I think that's more expensive than what my hard disk drive was. And I have 6 more terabytes of space. So what most people end up doing is they get one of each. So you get an SSD and you put your operating system and all your commonly used programs on there that you want to have up quickly or at a moment's notice. And then on your HDD, you just put all your other files. So you put games and movies and big video files and all that on there. So it's basically what I did. I've been spending the last day kind of doing that. I moved over all my games on Steam and not on Steam to my HDD, and then my videos and stuff on there, and then I have like my editing software, recording software, browser, and of course my OS. All that's on the SSD. So all that is it's going pretty well. I'm always it's a nice like it's a nice feeling to not have to worry about like, oh, can I install this? I don't have that much space left. That's a bummer. I have literally been tried to render videos in the past and it's failed because I ran out of space. It's happened with like some of these podcast episodes. Anyway, yeah, so I ended up playing Street Fighter V for like 7 hours. Or 6 hours or something like that. I could tell because I could feel the blood in my legs not moving around, so I was like, oh, I think I gotta go walk around for a bit. I was just like, I want to go to combo trials, and then I got frustrated doing those after like 3 hours, and then I decided to go play some ranked, and I ended up having a lot of fun. The worst thing about Street Fighter V is it's fucking awful online. It's terrible fucking netcode. And I know that, like, it would probably be worse if it was delay-based, but, wow. This is still not acceptable. I'm sorry, but good enough is not enough. You know? It's really a shame. Because the game is quite fun. I have a lot of fun with it. I've been really going into Nash. I've been kind of like just getting better at neutral and stuff, and learning how to play him, and I feel like I'm finally getting like a hang on the game. And then I fucking find a guy, not even from like out of the country, like in the US, and they're just, I had a guy lag so badly that the opening intro, like the opening intros, took like a minute. They should take like 10 seconds, but they kept freezing. Do you know, in a rollback system, do you know how badly, like, do you know how bad the connection has to be for the game to literally like pause in a rollback? That's like, that's so bad. Oh my goodness. And it's sometimes, I'm sure it's the people that I'm matching, pardon me, people that I'm matching with. But also I mean, we know for a fact that the netcode for SF5 is like messed up. It's whack because they fucked up implementing it and never bothered to fix it. And it probably never will be fixed, which is a big shame unless there's some kind of another fan-made patch. That's a whole story. Another fan-made patch to fix the netcode. That's a whole other story. But it's a shame. It's a shame because the game is really fun. I do enjoy it when I get to play it. But like, God, the added stress of dealing with lag. Like, there were so many times where I just dropped a really easy combo because the lag just ate my input. And you're like, God damn it. There were definitely games where that damage would have made the difference between me winning and losing. Because it would happen multiple times in like a single round. It was really fucking something. Eek, 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 eek. Anyway, let's get on to the comment review. So, we have a comment from last time. Losey says, the sound in the heard in the microphone from time to time makes it seem like you have a campfire nearby. Ideal for your stories. That's the magnets. How do you not know what the magnets are? I don't think I said it in that particular... Ooh, my head. Ooh, was I sitting wrong? Holy cannoli, I just got like a weird head rush. I got a weird head rush where like blood suddenly flows to your head. Let me try and fix my posture. I try to talk close to the mic, but... Ooh, whoa, my head is ringing. Aye. Okay, Jesus Christ, okay. Am I having a seizure? There's just like this perpetual ringing in the side of my head now. Ooh, that's tough. That's really distracting. I'm gonna like... I might even... Fuck, I'm gonna pause for a second. Ooh, okay, I think I feel better. Okay, feeling better. Jeez Louise. I think I was sitting poorly and it was like cutting off some blood flow. And then I straightened my posture and it just... Ooh, anyway. I had like a fucking rollback in my brain. Anyway, he goes on to say, I don't think I said it in that particular video, but I remember an intro of yours where you move turning at fewer frames. That was fun. There's two intros. There's two videos. The two holiday specials that I've done. The Halloween episode on the Dead MMOs. And the Christmas episode on Elf Bowling. So he asks, are you more of an anime or manga person? In my case, I'm more into manga, but not because I want to, because anime consumes more time. Haha. I already abandoned One Piece anime again. I still haven't reached the time skip. I don't know where the time skip happens in One Piece, but I'm assuming that that's very shocking to One Piece people. One Piecers. I'm more of a manga person. And the reason for that is because I have a really weird thing where I find it really difficult to sit in one place and watch something. Like I don't watch anything. I don't watch anything besides YouTube videos. And when I watch YouTube videos, I'm playing Tetris on the side because the internet ruined my brain. And so... If I sit down, if I sit down and just like try to watch an anime or anything really, where I have to like focus, I have to like read the subtitles. It's not that I don't like reading subtitles, right? I don't mind. Like when I do watch anime, it is subtitled because I prefer hearing the language. But like, I just get restless. So like the last thing I really watched on my own was that like Kat didn't sit me down to watch, or we went to like go to the movies together to see, was about like over a year ago. Was it a year ago? It was around the time we went into lockdown. Yeah, it was. It's over a year ago. That was 2020, not 2021. Jeez Louise. It was around the time we went into lockdown, and I wanted to get into Gundam, or I just wanted to. I thought Gundam looked cool, so I watched the original 1979 anime series, but technically not. I watched the 3 compilation movies that they made. So they basically did 3. The original anime is something like 60 something episodes, something like that. It's pretty long-winded, and there's some filler and little pacing funnies, but basically, I think in the 90s what they did was they took, I might be getting that wrong, but they basically took, it's probably for like an anniversary or something, they compiled the entire series into basically 3 2.5-hour movies. So basically take the entire thing and just compress it into about 7 hours? Is that right? Hang on, 2.5 plus 2.5 is 5. 6.5. Okay, 6.5-hour movie. No, 7.5. 7.5 hour? Wait, fuck. Oh my god. This is so embarrassing. 7.5. This is so embarrassing. This is why I can't go to college. They're not ready for me. Right, so they took those and they compiled them into about 7.5 hours worth of movies. And I watched all 3 of them. Not back to back to back, like over the course of a few days. And I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I found it engaging. I was surprised at how good the animation was. I was expecting like a show from the 70s to be like kind of stiff, but no, the action's like really good. I was surprised at like the opening scene of the anime is like an attack on like a space colony. And I was like, holy shit, this feels like dangerous. This feels like legitimately exciting. And it's not really stiff at all. So I was a little surprised by that, but pleasantly surprised. It's a really good show. I would highly recommend, if I'm just going to, while I'm on the subject, I'm going to plug the Gundam. If you don't feel like sitting through the whole anime, then the movies were really good. Maybe something was lost, but hey, I really enjoyed them, and I feel like I got everything I needed to. There's like so many really memorable moments from that series that are like still in my head, that I'm like, damn, that was such a cool scene, right? Old anime has this really interesting feeling to it. I don't know what it is, but I feel like starting in the maybe in the 90s, I'm not entirely sure, but progressing onward, anime just has a different feel, and I don't know what it is. I think it's the sound design. If you watch a lot of like older anime from like the 70s or something, or the 80s, it's a lot more like quiet. There's a lot more like ambient sound. It's weird. Maybe it's like the audio quality. Maybe it's like how it was recorded, like a film versus digital type of thing. Not, you know, it's not literally that, but maybe just the different technologies made it sound different. But I just there's just like a interesting kind of like how do I describe it? The sound just feels immersive, like the quietness, and there's like a it feels like weirdly real. I don't know, more so than like live action films. It's very weird. I remember seeing there's like a scene from Akira where I don't know the context. There's a character, they're just like talking outside, and they're like walking while they're talking. One of them's kind of being a little he's kind of like making some movements, and he's a little more animated, a little more like expressive than the other person, just kind of listening to them. And I'm just watching the scene, I'm like, damn, that's like, it feels so like real. I don't know what it is. But I do, to get back to the question, I do read manga more because I haven't read manga in a while, but if I was to engage in one or the other, it would be manga. Just because, yeah, literally the same thing is anime consumes more time. I'm personally, I'm a pretty fast reader. I have a pretty fast reading comprehension, so manga is way easier for me to read, or it's way faster for me to get through. Like, an anime is always going to take 24 minutes, right, per episode. A manga, you know, you can go through the same amount of thing in, like, you know, maybe 10 minutes, perhaps. Maybe less. The same amount of content. Yeah, I'm just more of a, I also just like enjoy, there's a lot of things about manga that I like. I like the fact, and not every series does this, but pardon me. I like the fact that you can kind of go at your own pace. And there's this interesting thing that you don't get when you have a, I guess like a, I don't know what you'd call it, chronological medium, like anime or anything moving, is that in manga, you can just kind of linger on an image for a while. And there's a lot of anime, or sorry, there's a lot of manga that do this. My favorite, the go-to example would probably be Berserk, because one of the things that's so gorgeous about Berserk and its artwork and in the way that the story's told is that, like, there's a lot of moments where there's something that, like, big that happens. And Berserk is a very violent series, right? A lot of action. But there's a lot of moments of just, like, calm and, like, stillness. I love the panel where Guts and Casca are reunited, and it's just like this overhead shot, and his like cape is flowing in the wind because he's just like slashed away this monster that was going to attack her, and she's just looking at him, and there's like, the ground is just all white. It's like you're basically just seeing the characters, and it's just this moment where it's framed so perfectly, and you can like feel the emotion. You can, it lets you, it may have taken, you know, in universe, right? In the world of the story, this took 1 second, but you as the reader are allowed to kind of just sit with it and just kind of like feel it for as long as you think the character felt it, right? Like maybe for Guts and Casca, that 1 second felt much longer. And you can kind of like, you can just kind of soak it in. And that's an experience that I really enjoy with manga. Is if you end up feeling in some ways like very close to what's happening because of that. For series that take advantage of that element of the medium, you're just allowed to sit with an image. I really like that. Anyway, yeah. Hope that answers your question. I am more of a manga person. I haven't watched anime in freaking forever. Well, it's been a while, hasn't it? Play the song, Brian. Brian, play the song. Play the song. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, yes, that's right, baby. It's the Blizzard block. I was not sure when we were gonna have this segment the next time, but I'm very happy to have it back. Sort of. I just like having this segment. So, of course, the biggest news in maybe years, honestly, in terms of gaming happened. Let me tell you, I was lying in bed, and I had a little news app on my phone. And I saw like, oh, I got a little news. It has like hidden notifications because I don't want to be bombarded with the fucking news all the time. I only want it when I see it, when I want to look at it. So I just get the little, it's like a hidden, you gotta tap on it specifically in the drop down menu to see it. And then I'm like, huh, okay, there's some news. And then I see the headline. Microsoft has purchased Activision Blizzard for $68 billion. And I was like, what? I got out of my bed and I started pacing around because I was like, what the what? I couldn't believe it. It didn't feel like a real thing happening. So the other day, a few days ago, Microsoft announced that it was purchasing Activision Blizzard. Technically Activision Blizzard King. The entire thing for $68 billion, which is just under what Disney paid for Marvel, if you're keeping score. This is the biggest money move since Microsoft bought Bethesda. There's no other, like, I'm trying to think of acquisitions in gaming in the industry that were this magnitude. Unless something is blanking? Maybe Activision merging with Blizzard in the first place, you know? Maybe something like that. Microsoft is on a war path, and I think this is really interesting for their business strategy, right? So there's a few things that are funny about this deal. Number one is that mere weeks ago, we were talking about how Phil Spencer was shit-talking Activision because of the sexual harassment claims, right? He had this thing like, we are, what was it? Assessing or we are reevaluating our relationship with Activision Blizzard. And then at the time it was like, oh shit, are they gonna like, is Xbox gonna like not associate with them? Are they not gonna have Call of Duty? Are they not gonna have you know, a bunch of, I think for sure Overwatch is on Xbox. Are they not gonna just associate with Activision at all? Like, that's crazy, but like the PR is so bad for them right now. And then it turns out that when they said reevaluating, they were just gonna buy them. That's what they meant by reevaluate. We have reevaluated our relationship with Activision, and we've come to the conclusion that we now own them. It's really funny because I think that I almost wonder if Harrison making that statement was a way to drive the price down. Not Harrison, Spencer. I got my Phils mixed up. Not Phil Harrison, Phil Spencer. I'm getting my gaming Phils who are heads of major consoles, like American divisions, mixed up. Well, Phil Harrison isn't at Sony anymore, but he was. He's at Google. Dude, Phil Harrison looks like a fucking egg. It's so funny. I know he's like 10 years older right now than like... I have the image in my head of Phil Harrison is like from the PlayStation days where he was like moderately... Like he was... I don't know. It was literally 10... Closing in on 20 years ago at this point. I forgot when he left, actually. But, like, he's put on some weight, and, like, not to shame him or anything, but he looks like an egg with a fatter face. I just have to, like, he looks, like, He has like an egg face. Just like when he had like a tighter like jawline. Jesus, there's one picture of him that's from a really unfortunate angle. From when he had hair. He looks much better from like straight on. When he had like a slightly tighter jawline just because he was a little skinnier, he it looked, now that he's like he's just a touch rounder. His face is just a touch rounder. And it's like, oh my god, it's Eggman. It doesn't help that he's bald. Oh, I'm being mean. I'm sorry, Phil Harrison. Cursed bald devil. Omen of bad fortune. That's, I think, what I called him in the E3 video. Anyway. Fuck. Phil Harrison, yeah. No, Spencer. Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer... So Phil Spencer, I'm pretty sure, I have a little conspiracy theory that he made those claims about evaluating the relationship just to make their price go down, to like hurt their image, because, you know, if their stock, I'm sure that it hurt their stock. I'm sure that, like, you know, evaluators or however looked at the value of Activision Blizzard and they were like, oh, well, Xbox might be pulling out of a relationship with them. And, oh my goodness. Unless it was... No, it was Phil Harrison, I'm pretty sure. It was one of them. I'm pretty sure they both said something like that. Yeah, so that was really funny. This is, like, really interesting for Microsoft from a business perspective. So, I have this little theory that... Okay, some history. So, Xbox as a brand has never turned a profit. This is a fact. This is a known fact. Xbox has never turned a profit. Even when they were at the height of their market dominance, never done it. Microsoft has never technically made money. However, I think that they basically... they kept it because it was they wanted to stick with it, and they wanted to be a loss leader. A loss leader is, if you don't know business, a loss leader is someone who you're losing money, but because you're basically pumping money into being the name. So you're trying to just get exposure, and console manufacturing is a loss leading industry. It's a loss leading business. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, none of them actually make money on console sales. It costs much more to produce a console than it does to buy one, than their market price. And that's because they end up making money on other things, namely games. It's kind of like I was going to say a razor and blades model. It's a little bit like that, but basically they're selling you the console at a loss to basically get an in to make more potential money off of sales and advertising and you using their product, basically. Maybe investor money or something like that, but, you know, if you are the biggest console, then your stock is worth a lot, right? Your stock is worth a lot. It's going to be worth more. So it's worth it, basically. That's the idea behind their business model. And Microsoft has stuck with it, and I get the sneaking suspicion that in the last few years, especially during the Xbox One era, that the execs at Microsoft were getting cold feet. When did Bill Gates... Hang on. Bill Gates steps down. When did he do that? Well, he stepped down from his day-to... Okay, so it says he stepped down from his day-to-day role running Microsoft in 2008. So he remained chairman of the board of directors and became chief software architect. When did he... 2020. Oh, wow. Was that recent? Okay, never mind. So he was on the board until 2020, so never mind. It might have been someone else. I think... So, you know, being a loss leader is great when you're actually the leader. when you're the lost loser, which they were during the Xbox One era. So the original Xbox, the OG box, was a fucking smash hit, and it was so big because of Halo that Xbox became like they became like Band-Aids, you know? Like Band-Aids are not, it's not what the product is called. It's the name of a brand. It's a company. I think they're technically called like, it's called like medical tape. Adhesive medical tape. But I always think that Invader Zim episode when I think about Band-Aids. Adhesive medical tape. And Xbox kind of became that, sort of like how I think like each of the big three sort of has this in different households, but like, you know, there's like people who were parents during the 80s will just call a game system the Nintendo, right? Like that's a thing. Oh, you're on the Nintendo. They'll just no matter what it is, you're on the Nintendo, right? Xbox kind of became that in the 2000s because like it was such a ubiquitous brand. It's such a good name. It's so snappy and easy to remember. You're like, oh, that's the Xbox thing, and it's like a Wii, whatever, you know. And then in the 360, they carried forward that that success, namely because PlayStation fucked up with the PS3. I mean, like I made a whole video about that. The PS2 was such a big success that Sony got cocky, and when Sony gets cocky, they start being consumer unfriendly and they fuck up and they price their console at like $800 fucking adjusted for inflation. And everyone's like, whoa, slow down there. I think I'm gonna go buy the Xbox. So they had two, and the PS3 won it back by the end of the generation, right? The PS3 won by the end, but the Xbox brand name was still, like, they put in a good fight, right? So you got two hits in a row, so to speak. And then the Xbox One comes in, and oh no. Microsoft acted with the Xbox One. They acted like they won the last console war when they didn't. They won it at the start, and then they lost the lead. And then they were like, man, that was one of my favorite eras in gaming. Just the start of every new console cycle is so magical. We didn't get it as much with this one, which is a shame, because this launch was a little more subtle. But like, the magical thing about gaming, the gaming industry, is corporate shit talk. I love corporate shit talk. It's such a special, unique thing about our industry that, you know, Robert Xbox will come out and like he'll put up a picture of him like fucking a PS3, and he'll be like, "This is I fucked this thing." And then, like, you know, Bill PlayStation is like, it's him, like, he just smashes an Xbox on stage, and he just, like, goes really hard, like, he gets, like, a little too angry, just with, like, a hammer, and he's like, here's our new PlayStation, new PS4. The fuck am I talking about? What was I talking about? I was just thinking about corporate shit talk. Right. So the Xbox One got off on a really bad foot, and it just never recovered. They fixed the problems, you know. They took out the DRM, they fixed a bunch of things, but ultimately, they really lost it with the exclusives. They lost it with just the general catalog of games. And Sony just started crushing them. Like, the PS4, they built up so much momentum off of the PS3, how it eventually ended up, that the PS4 was like, boom, 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 boom. Like, we're fucking slamming these things out. These blockbuster, like, must-play type games. And, I think during that era, you have to remember, it's rare. We don't usually think about Xbox as like a Microsoft division, but it is. And you have to think about Xbox compared to Microsoft. Now you have to remember, the reason Microsoft got into gaming in the first place is basically because of Doom, right? It's because they said, oh shit, people want to play games on the computer. And that's why they developed DirectX, and they kind of like started expanding into gaming, like being more supportive of gaming. When the Xbox was originally like created, it was because they saw an opportunity in the console market. I think because Nintendo was gunking it up with the N64, because the N64 did not sell well. Despite being, technically a really good console, like a great library, it did not sell well compared to the PlayStation. So Microsoft kind of saw an opportunity to get in the console market, and they did. And then they became a kind of loss leader. They saw enough success that they could warrant it. You have to remember, you have to look at like Microsoft as like, their big products are, think about their products as being like Xbox and Windows. And you could not think of two more different things, despite the, well, they do like to change the interface unnecessarily to make it worse. Windows, Microsoft likes having a lot of control over their products. They like having, they like to have something that is reliable and like consistent. And they want, Windows was always made for business, right? Windows was like where Apple and Windows, when you look at like all of the PC competitors back in like the 80s and the 90s and so on, those all eventually fell away to basically just being Apple and Microsoft. And Apple prioritized the casual user and like artists and stuff like that. And Windows prioritized business and then eventually gaming. And they kind of carved these two consistent niches. And when you think about like they make a new OS every so many years, right? And they update it, and people buy it because it's Windows and they have all this support, and it's very like regular. And if you're a board member on the Microsoft, you like that regularity, that like we have an install base, we literally own the government. If you don't know, all the entire US government runs on Windows XP, because at the time that they were transitioning towards like integrating like computers into their work, they just used Windows. And because XP was supported for so long, all of their proprietary software was built on XP. And like if you change the OS, like if you actually updated the government's computers to like Windows, any subsequent version of Windows, the government would collapse because the software would literally stop working. So, but you can't have an OS just not get security updates, because eventually, vulnerabilities start being created, and you really don't want that in your government computer system. So, basically, the government has its own version of Windows XP, and it pays Microsoft an exorbitant fee every year so that they can update their like special Gov OS of XP with security updates. Microsoft literally has the US government by the balls, and they can't do anything about it because there's just too much foundation already. if you're a board member of Microsoft, this is the kind of thing that makes you really happy. This is the kind of thing where you're like, this is so great. The government literally pays us. We pay negative taxes. Tax dollars go to us. Gotta drink my tea. So you like that stability. You like that reliability. And then you look over at Xbox and you're like, what the fuck is this industry? What is this? What the fuck is going on? Who the fuck is Randy Pitchford? Wait a second. You're telling me that the guy who was one of our big, like, he made one of our big exclusive series that we're selling, like, this part of our business on, left a flash drive at a medieval times restaurant that had industry secrets he stole from Sega, along with videos of him having sex with 18-year-old girls? Wait, what? Who is this? What the fuck? Like, you're just looking at this situation in horror. That's my favorite Randy Pitchford story. Right next to the one where the time he punched the voice actor for Claptrap in the face at the, like, Hotel Marriott in 2013. Like, you're right in the lobby. Anyway. This is the kind of industry where you're like, what the fuck? It's so unstable. It's so, like, it's so unstable. It's so wild. It doesn't work like any other industry. And if you're at Microsoft, you're like, why are we in this? Why are we in this business? This is fucking nuts. And we've only been, and then the Xbox guys come up and they're like, well, no, like we're look at how much of a market force we are. And they're like, okay, fine, we'll let you do it. And then the Xbox One comes out and it bombs. And I'm sure the Microsoft executives were like, we might be, we kind of want to pull out of this, which is interesting because the Xbone, what was interesting about its life cycle is that it never, like, turned over. It just slowly, it didn't drop off very sharply. It just slowly kind of petered away. And you just got this feeling that Microsoft wasn't giving them the money. They weren't allowing them to spend the money that they needed to make the big hit, right? To make the new Halo. Not literally the new Halo, because they did give them money to make the new Halo. The new Halo sucked. But you know what I mean. Figuratively, the new Halo. They didn't give them that. And eventually what happened was that, like, I think, you know, they're probably very conscious of the fact that it's only making it get worse, right? It's only making the situation worse. And I think that they were aware of that. And it's because, and they kept doing it because they wanted to eventually pull out of the market. They wanted to, I have this theory, I really think that Microsoft does not really want to be in gaming that much, or they have a very, like, they're on thin ice with it. However, I believe that the people who work at Xbox are genuinely passionate about the brand and the console. And I think that there's almost this, like, I'd be very curious to find out if there's, like, story. Maybe in a few years we'll learn some stories from behind the scenes, right? About what's gone on. I think that there's some people at Xbox who genuinely really care about it. And they want it to succeed, and they want it to have support. And I think that's why Game Pass exists. I think Game Pass was probably, there was somebody who was just racking their brain trying to figure out how they could save the Xbox brand. And they said, oh shit, why don't we make, like, why don't we, like, fork our business model, right? Instead of selling a bunch of games, right? Why don't we sell a service to play games? So this is a different thing. We're not a game console. Well, we are. We're not selling games. We're selling you a service, right? And if it's successful, if it works out, we have enough properties, we could make enough deals that we could put a strong library on there. We could maybe pull it off. And they did. And now Xbox Game Pass is like, by all accounts, for all accounts and for all intentions, intentions and purposes? What is that phrase? All accounts and intentions? All accounts and purposes? Purposes and... all intents and purposes. There it is. For all intents and purposes, the best game streaming service. I'm sure that there's some wonkiness, right? There's certain games that maybe you don't want to play this on Game Pass. But in general, from what I've heard, Game Pass is like really good. And it's honestly almost like the seller for the system. Maybe not like full on, but like if you own it, I think that was their way of being like, wait, okay, that was their way of saving it. They were like, we don't have the money to get a bunch of big exclusives or anything like that. They won't give us that money. They're choking our budget out. So let's make this comparatively much less demanding service, like financially, in terms of like funding. I'm assuming. And then we can like offset that. That's how we'll start to make a comeback. So the users who already have us are going to, it's going to be really nice for them. They're going to start saying good things about it. People are going to get interested in it. And maybe we can actually build some momentum. And here's what I find fascinating. And here's where we get back to Activision. I think, personally, my theory is that Microsoft, the plan to save the Xbox is that the Xbox is going to transition from being a traditional game console to essentially an entertainment station for the regular consumer with a focus on video games. So what I mean by that is the big strength of consoles compared to PCs. I love PC gaming. Tap my little PC. I love PC gaming, right? I like using a PC. It's my preferred way to play. However, I am someone who's willing to go through the pain of building a PC, right? And if you're going to be doing a lot of PC gaming, you're probably going to build a PC. And PCs by nature are just more complex, right? They're just more complicated. You've got an OS. You're not building it just to play games, right? You've got a ton of other stuff going on. Bugs and updates and all this, right? And for the consumer who just wants entertainment, I want like a workstation and an entertainment device and a this and a that, and I can put all that in my PC, and I am willing to go through the pain of building it and looking up and researching parts and finding deals and ordering everything and assembling it and then making sure that it's fixed and then taking it to a guy to fix it when it doesn't work. And cleaning it out every 3 months and spending $300 on a new hard drive. All of that I'm willing to do because that's just the kind of customer I am. I am not really the average customer. A lot of people just want to buy a box. They want to buy a box and maybe a disc, and they want to put the disc in the box, and they want to sit down and they want to play their game or watch their movie, right? Even better, if you don't even have to buy a disc, if you could just click an app on your console, right? Consoles, the great strength of consoles is not in their power necessarily, because PCs are always going to be on the cutting edge of power. Consoles are pretty powerful, right? But the main drawing point is just the convenience. It's just the convenience of being able to have a box that you, pardon me, you plug in a few wires. We have wireless controllers now. You don't even need to connect it, right? And you just pick up a little controller, and then you can play your game, right? That is the selling point. That's what people maybe don't realize, but that's what a lot of people enjoy or prefer to a console. And from that standpoint, the Xbox can actually make a very interesting transition, where the Xbox, for the last few years, Microsoft has really wanted to, it seems like this mandate, they want the Xbox to be an all-in-one entertainment platform. Like, the reason the Xbox 360 is called the 360 because it's all-encompassing, right? Because it had a Blu-ray player or a DVD player, I forget which one. You know, you could watch movies on it. You could watch Netflix on it, on top of playing games. And then they basically just did the exact same thing with the Xbox One, except it was the all-in-one entertainment platform. Like, this has been their thing for a while. They really, Microsoft, I think that, like, they don't like the chaos of the games industry, and they want a little more stability in the console. And I think that they've been trying to do that via bringing in other markets. So, like, to basically, like, they're selling basically to gamers, but they're expanding the appeal. They're expanding the appeal of potential gamers. Does that make sense? I don't know. Like, if you like video games, oh, but I also like, I can watch movies on it. You know, like, oh, this was like, you know, back in the 7th generation, right? Oh, I don't have to buy a Blu-ray player. I could just own a PS3. Oh, cool. And then I can also play video games on it. Like, for the person who's in the market to buy a console, oh shit, I can just buy this, and it's basically a built-in Blu-ray player. Sweet, I can just watch movies on my console. That's really convenient. And that kind of, like, unity is probably more appealing to them than, like, fucking, yeah, we're gonna have Gears of War, and it's made by this guy who fucks barely legal girls and records it and leaves it on a flash drive in an Evil Times restaurant. So I feel like there's a person at Xbox who's, like, having a meeting with the Microsoft execs, and they're like, okay, what if we transition from being a game platform to we actually really lean into your idea, right? Hey, this is what you guys want. We're still going to be a game platform, but it's not traditional. We're going to be a service. I feel like that was the pitch. So, like, I think that where the Xbox is going is that it's going to be a box. It's going to be a box that you buy, and you're going to be able to, you know, for comparably, the price might even go down. Like, this might be a way that they're going to get, they could look for an edge over Sony, right? Maybe it's substantially cheaper than the PS5, right? Substantially cheaper, but where they really make their money is these subscription services. Game Pass has, like, hang on, I had some numbers up here. I had some numbers. So game dev consultant Rami Ismail, this is from PCGamer.com, said that the deal with Activision solidifies, well, so here's a great transition point. Pardon me. Said that the deal solidifies Game Pass, already tremendously popular, as the best deal in games for consumers. Oh wait, they didn't say how many people. There's like a fucking, like, 5 million people or some shit. I don't know. That's probably not the right number. There's a lot of people using Game Pass, right? Let me look up Game Pass prices. So let's see all plans. So they have a couple. So the console plan is, they have like a couple plans. They have a console plan for $10 a month. And then they have the ultimate plan, which is let's see, lets you play games from the cloud, gives you some exclusives, and you get some exclusive extra deals, some secret deals. That's for $15 a month. But the first month is $1. This is such a good business model. And it includes Xbox Live Gold. This is such a good deal. I actually can't believe how good of a deal this is. So basically what they do is they say, hey, try out... They also have the PC, they also have a PC version. I'm assuming that's maybe not quite as popular just because most people are probably playing shit on Steam or GOG or Epic. But they basically say like, hey, what they want to sell you on is the ultimate. So they say, hey, try 1 month for $1. I'm like, shit, yeah, I could pay for $1. And then you see, oh, hey, this is a really good service. I think I do want to pay $15 a month for that. And you're getting Xbox Live Gold, which gets you a bunch of shit. You're also getting EA Play. So, like, where they're making their money is on you paying $15 a month for this service. So, how much is, like, an Xbox Series X in USD? Well, it might be, the price might be messed up because, so $500 for from GameStop. Why is it like $700 from Walmart? The heck? So let's just say $500, right? So 500 divided by 15, 33. So after so that's 33.33. Repeating, of course. 33. So it's like, so 500 divided by 50. So it would take you 30, if my math is right, which it probably isn't. It would take you 33 months, so just under 3 years of Game Pass to eclipse, well, the first month is free. So the first month? The first week. Wait. Please load. First month. Okay, so let's say 34. So basically, let's just say it'll take you 3 years. So it'll take you 3 years to pay more, to basically to have paid more for the Game Pass than you did the console itself. Which is fair, I think. I don't think that's a horribly unfair, business model. Or rate, especially for what you're getting, the value that you're getting. So they're going to sell you this box for comparatively much cheaper, and then they're going to make their actual money off of subscriptions. So they're going to lose money on the console, and they're going to gain money on the subscription service. And then they're going to have the bonuses of all these other services, all these value adds for different entertainment. You can watch TV, Xbox, play Hobbit. And that's where they're headed. That's my theory. I think that's what they're going to... I think they're transitioning away from being a software company. No. Hang on, I'm at hardware. So there was a theory, I remember a while back when Donkey made a video. He said he thought that Xbox was going to transition away from hardware and just go software, kind of like Sega, who was one of the companies they were rumored to buy, actually, funny enough. I think my theory now is that they want to stay as a console manufacturer, but they want to kind of they want to make themselves unique from Sony. They want to make themselves a different market appeal. They know that big dogs at Microsoft on the board are not going to let them have enough money to get the games that are going to help them compete with Sony. Not even win, just compete, right? So they're going to try and diversify, basically. They're not going to go up, they're going to go over. They're going to go to the right. They're going to go left. Sony is investing so much money in just going up and up and up, right? Bigger games, better games, more games. Microsoft is going like laterally. They're going horizontal. And they're expanding their business model. So this brings up some interesting things, naturally. Their purchase of Activision is, I think, a solidifier of that. Because with Activision, you get... Well, so there's a couple things here. Number one, the thing that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about is Candy Crush, right? Candy Crush makes so much goddamn money. They make so much goddamn money. And because it's, a phone game that moms play, we don't usually talk about it in the gaming sphere, right? But it is a relevant big earner. And just that on its own is very valuable, right? That was a big selling point probably to buy Activision, is that they wanted, because like Candy Crush makes a fuck ton of money, and it's repeated, it's regular, and moms are always going to be playing Candy Crush, right? So it's like it's that consistent stability, right? And then of course you have the Activision series like Call of Duty, a billion things that Activision owned. They own Toys for Bob. Oh, that was another story. Toys for Bob is... So, hang on. I'm trying to think of what order to go through these things in. I will talk about something else first. They now own a ton of properties that they can just stick on Game Pass, right? Are they going to put Candy Crush on Game Pass? Why not? Why not? They can put it on Game Pass. They can integrate it with Game Pass. They now own Blizzard, right? So here's the thing, is that most of the people who were abusers at Blizzard are probably... Jesus. Pardon me. Are probably gone. Most of those people are probably gone. I can't imagine after being audited and basically being gangbanged by like 4 different government organizations and your own shareholders that any of the people who were the offenders are still remaining. So like now all that's left is just fix the management problems that they're having, which there was a very relevant tweet. I think so. Microsoft is they're in a perfect position to fix Blizzard. Microsoft could get so many points, so many good boy points for basically being able to say, we fixed Blizzard. Basically the Ronald Reagan Iran hostage crisis thing. If you don't know about that, back in the whenevers, there was a bunch of there were some American hostages taken by the Iran government, and it lasted like, it was a big national international story, and it ended up lasting like 400 something days. And who the fuck? Oh no! Oh my god! How am I blanking on which president it was? It was one before Reagan. Ford. It was Ford. Okay. No. Carter. Okay, I misread that. Okay. Carter, Ford. I'm like, oh, it was the guys between Nixon and Reagan. It was the sub squad. Right. So Carter was basically working day and night to try and get these hostages back. He gets the hostages back. He basically works out the deal to get them returned, like right as the election happens. And Reagan wins the election, and Reagan says, let's not announce it until after I'm in office. And then like 5 days after he's in office, he goes, guys, I freed the hostages. Everyone's like, wow, Reagan's so cool. He didn't take credit for it, but they waited until he was president to announce it, right? So like Microsoft, so he got all the points, right? He was in the spotlight when it happened. So all the people who were bad are probably already gone, right? A lot of things are probably being addressed right now. As we speak. The only difference is that when the news comes and when the light shines over the hill and Blizzard is finally good again and the workers aren't being abused and no one's, people are being paid well, Microsoft is going to be there. They're going to be the ones who are like, and it happened under us. That is an amazing PR move. They're in a position to make themselves look really good as like the heroes of the games industry, right? Because people always forget that like companies are just companies and they go through ups and downs. And when they're up, they're assholes, and when they're down, they're the underdogs and they're cool. This happens all the time. So, I always take everything with a grain of salt. But, if you're doing customer-friendly things and you're doing good business practices, I would always give you kudos, right? I'm not so cynical. However, I do recognize that, like, business is a business. Sony was the underdogs, and then they were cool. And now they're kind of being a little dickish. They're being a little dickish right now. So Microsoft gets to be like, hey, we're the cool guys. Look at all this cool stuff we're doing. So they could make a serious PR swing by fixing them. And let's say that they get some games to actually come out. If those games are good, well, shit. The Microsoft era of Blizzard it's the Pax Romana. It's the golden years. The new golden age. Look at what we did, guys. Which brings me to this tweet that I mentioned and never talked about a second ago. So obviously the question on my mind was, what's happening to Bobby? What's going on with Bobby? What's going on with him? And it's really funny because I was like, damn, Bobby got off the plane. I wanted off the plane. Bobby got off the plane. Little reference, little reference, So everyone hates Bobby. Literally, he is the most reviled man in gaming. Everyone hates Bobby, including the people who work for him. So obviously my thing was like, well, damn, he probably just wants to get out. He's been at Activision for like 15 years. He probably wants to maybe just a change of pace. He's like 50-something. He probably wants a new endeavor. He might be getting close to retirement. I don't know what his plans are, but 65 is the general retirement age for people in America. He might want to like find another long-term company and then just cozy up in like a board of director position and just you know, live out the rest of his life with, you know, on a yacht with women who are over the age of 18. Over the age of 18. He did not take a flight. He's not in any, you know, he doesn't get put in any book. Over the age of 18. So he got off the plane. That's why he got off the plane. Because that's where you find the adult women. You have to leave the plane. So basically, the thing I neglected to mention is that this deal does not close until like 2023. So technically, Microsoft will not own them for another year. So one thing that I've mentioned before, and as most people are probably aware of, is that Blizzard has not made a new game in a minute. I was thinking about this. Do you know what the last new game Blizzard made was? Like, actually new game. They've made, like, expansions to WoW, but, like, actually new game. It was Overwatch. Overwatch. Now, like, I think about Overwatch, and I'm like, that game came out when I was in middle school. I'm 20. It's been a long-ass time since they've done anything. They have been dragging their feet. It's like, do they even exist? Like, what's going on? So when Overwatch 2 gets announced and it just getting pushed back and back and back and back, I'm like, does this game exist? Is this like a prank? What even is this? What even is this game? Is it a game? Is it an expansion? What is this? So he did an interview with the World of Warcraft like news website called Wowhead. So it says the headline of this or the tweet says for their story was in an interview with GamesBeat. Oh, he didn't do an interview with Wowhead. Pardon me. Wowhead only reported on it. So it says, in an interview with GamesBeat, Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick explained his motive for selling to Microsoft, citing the delay of Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 as having a principal effect on declining stock prices. So he basically said, oh, the game's getting delayed, has made you know, it's really killing me. You know, it's making me not want to own this company anymore. So well, who is she? So, oh shit. So a woman, Tracy Kennedy, a woman who is she is a producer on Overwatch. I actually didn't realize she was so big. I thought she was just like, I don't know. I didn't know what her position was. I didn't realize she was a producer. She was a producer on Overwatch. She makes a tweet. The wording of this, she retweets this and she says, or she quote tweets it, and she added something very interesting. The phrasing of it is a little awkward, but I will try to make it make a little more sense. She says, Bobby, tell everyone about the random projects for Overwatch 1 you all would shove on us. The team would do overtime the team would do overtime for only them to get canceled. I think them to get canceled. And for months of Overwatch 2 dev to have been lost. Or how almost entire teams are turning over and citing you as the reason. Don't be shy. So she phrased it a little weirdly. There might have been a typo in there, but basically from the sounds of it, they were working on Overwatch 2, but Bobby and the execs would have them do something for Overwatch 1. She calls them random projects that they would force them to do, and then before they were even done, have them canceled. Almost like it was intentional. Ooh, this is a very conspiracy episode. What if, do you think that Bobby wanted out? Because here he might just be bullshitting and covering his ass and saying, oh, well, you know, it wasn't me. Oh, you know, when it was really his incompetence or incompetent leadership that caused that. Do you think that maybe, because they've been... When was Overwatch 2 announced? This might be important. 2019. Now, if you recall, the investigation into Blizzard started in 2021. Sorry, it came out in 2021, but it began 2 years previous, in 2019. Very, very interesting. And if you recall, they showed off a bunch of work on Overwatch 2 when it was announced, right? They showed off a bunch of stuff. Pretty sure. When did they... I don't remember exactly the timeline, but they had, like, work to show pretty early, right? Do you think Bobby saw the investigation and he's playing 4D, 5D chess, right? He saw the investigation start and he went, shit, this is going to be bad. And then he started sabotaging. I wonder if... This is super conspiracy. Do you think he sabotaged the development of Overwatch 2 to get it delayed so that he could cite it as a reason for his departure? Do you think? Ooh, I wonder. That would be so juicy. That would be crazy. Leave a comment if you think he would do that. What a crazy conspiracy. Well, now we finally have an answer. Basically just bad development. She followed it up with a thing that says, oh wait, that's right, you hide behind scapegoats because you're a coward. My mistake. The entire world will remember you to be a greedy joke. And there's nothing you can do to change that. We outlasted you, and we won. You know, in a way he won, but he got a lot of money. Sorry, in a way they won, you know, the workers won in an artistic sense, but Bobby won in a money sense. He's getting a lot of money from this fucking deal. Yeah. This is there anything else? Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about a little bit of mention the antitrust thing, or the question about trust, or monopolies, you know, people have been calling it. I am almost certain that Microsoft, this is not going to be a trust issue. I can see where that comes from because it's a huge acquisition in the same space. But there's a few little caveats, right? So if we talked about, so number one, Microsoft absolutely checked with the government before they did this. Like people, if you're a company like Microsoft and you literally are responsible for keeping the government working, you probably can talk to people about, you probably have contacts, right? And so yeah, obviously this is clear. They're not going to make, they know that this is a huge deal. This is one of those deal of the century type things, right? And there's no way that they didn't check. So obviously it's been cleared. Now, whether or not there was coercion involved, you know, remains to be seen. We'll probably never know. But they checked, so it's been cleared. It's not going to be counted as a trust. There are concerns about a monopoly, and I can see where those concerns come from. It doesn't freak me out that much, because they are big. There is a big conglomeration going on here. However, I think that the games industry has enough competition that it doesn't... It's hard... Okay. Monopolies happen... I think a really important thing when you're looking at something like a monopoly or a those are probably different things, and business people would get mad at me for conflating them, but I'm going to use them interchangeably. Why don't we look up the definition with the power of Google? Monopoly versus trust. Oh, my Wi-Fi died. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Literally, the moment I went to search for this. Let me pull out my phone. That's great. I really like it when that happens to me. When that happens to me. It's like what a monopoly versus a trust is on my really, really slow 5-year-old phone. Sometimes my internet just drops out and dies. I'll be more specific, you know. But we'll get the definitions. Hang on, baby. It's coming. It's coming. Keyboard's popping up. Here we go. Monopoly versus trust. So, come on. This would go really fast if my internet just didn't ran it. It's been doing this recently. It's really weird. So trusts are the organization of several businesses in the same industry, and by joining forces, the trust controls production and distribution of a product or service, thereby limiting competition. Monopolies are businesses that have total control over a sector of the economy, including prices. So basically, a trust is several businesses in the same industry who come together and limit competition. So a trust would, and a monopoly is one business that has control over an entire sector of the economy, including prices. So this would not count as a monopoly. This would count as a trust if you're going to look at it like that. I feel like an example of a trust would be something like cable companies, because there's certain places in like the US, for instance, where like if you move there, you've got one cable provider. That's it. Especially if you're living away from like a city or something like that, or a major metropolitan area. You got one cable provider, right? And you're going to deal with it. That's basically a trust. They're just not called that officially. Because they're just too big, and then they own a bunch of smaller cable providers, and then they just eat the whole thing. Okay. I think one of the big differentiating factors with this is that competition is not being stifled. I think that that's kind of a big deal. Is that like they aren't forcing you, like if all of a sudden, you know, they said you can only play World of Warcraft on your Xbox, and that's it. And if you want to play WoW, you have to play it on Xbox. And all these things only on Xbox. But they're not doing that. They're just kind of combining things. It is a big acquisition, and it warrants concern over a trust, you know, asking whether or not it's a trust. But I don't think it actually is, just because there is so much competition in the games industry. It's unreal. It's like one of the most competitive industries, entertainment-wise at least. There's like music, I guess. I don't know. It's a highly competitive industry, which has one of the most robust indie scenes and viable indie scenes of like any medium, right? I don't think it's a concern yet. If they bought Tencent, I'd be like, that's a little weird. They also made a statement about how they're going to... Basically, they said, you know, there was obviously a question of, like, is Call of Duty not going to be on PlayStation anymore? What's going on with that? And they basically said, yes, but eventually no. They didn't confirm it, but the wording was very specific. They basically said, we will honor... They basically said they're going to honor all existing contracts, all existing agreements. So there's games that I don't know how far ahead these agreements happen. But let's say the next 2, 3, maybe 2 Call of Duty games are going to be cross-platform. And then after that, they're probably going to be Game Pass exclusives. That's what I'm going to say. That's my bet. And when I say Call of Duty, I'm also talking about all the other things that they own. I don't think that they're going to be... They still want to keep their brand. They don't want to just be a service, right? They want to keep the Xbox brand as a unique thing. Oh yeah, and also they said that Toys for Bob is basically free. They're not going to be in the Call of Duty mines anymore. They're actually going to be able to work on shit. And really quick, Jason Schreier announced basically testers at Raven Software are talking about forming a union and are asking for voluntary recognition. So basically they are, if you remember, a few weeks ago there was a story about a bunch of QA testers at Raven Software got laid off, and I had a big thing about how appreciated QA testing is, and how important their role is, and like, you know, how they deserve to be treated well, and I think they deserve to be treated as part of the development team. And this tendency to just see them as disposable and just cut them off ends up hurting games in the long run. It's just, it leads to a lack of care, lack of polish, lack of quality. That's a big problem that World of Warcraft has been having. Like, they just fucking... Activision's just been firing all their fucking testers. And, they don't... And World of Warcraft comes out and it's buggy as shit and it's horribly optimized. So that's cool. I am always... The most political I will get on this podcast, I feel like, is just... I am very pro-union for the games industry, at least. I think, you know, unions, they can be good, they can be bad. There's definitely bad unions. I've heard anecdotes about just ones that were poorly handled, that ended up actually hurting the workers. But in this case, I think in gaming there needs to be some kind of a union, because I've heard stories about working in the games industry that are just so shameful and so unfortunate, and it's one of the big reasons why I don't play AAA games. Outside of just lack of interest. So I am very happy that this is going to be one of the first. It's not the first, but it will be one of the first unions in gaming, in a big budget studio. So yeah, that's good. I'm happy for them. I hope it gets through. I hope that they get the recognition and the treatment that they deserve. And yeah, my brain is tired, but so I'm gonna transition into some other things. It's fucking, dude. We are. Do you smell that? I think someone's cooking. It's cooking bacon. Someone's cooking bacon. Oh no, wait. We're cooking with Baiken. So yeah, guess what? Fighting game news time, baby. So Baiken, it was really weird because it felt like only like 3 weeks after Happy Chaos got released for Strive. It felt like a really short amount of time. Baiken was already announced, and it was like, oh, really? She was teased, essentially. She got a teaser. They just said, hey, it's Baiken at the end of, like, was it CEO, I think? And everyone's like, oh, shit, what? That's a weird, interesting pick. Interesting pick for Season 1. Baiken is one of those, she's a fan favorite. She's a fan favorite of the Guilty Gear series. And everyone kind of assumed, like, okay, she's never going to be in the base roster again because she's like DLC selling point, basically, because she's so popular. So Baiken got announced, and then we've just kind of been waiting on, like, well, when's the Baiken thing coming out? Supposedly it was late January, and when they said late January, they meant late January, because they released her trailer today, or yesterday, or, you know, whatever, within the last, like, 48 hours. And she looks so good. She looks so good. Her design has not changed very much. Besides, interestingly, her hair is like a deeper, darker shade of red than it was in Xrd, where it was like pretty bright pink, and or a light pink, not bright. But I think it's actually interesting to touch on, because people have sort of lamented. I've seen some complaints about Strive's visuals compared to Xrd, and that Strive is not as bright. It's a little more washed out. It's a little less saturated. And I think that's really interesting, because they are correct. However, what's funny about it is that it actually looks closer to Daisuke's artwork. If you look at Daisuke's artwork, he actually doesn't use a lot of very bright colors. He uses a lot of his drawings that are colored, which is good, most of them. His drawings in color have this kind of watercolor look to them. They have this kind of sort of washed out, sort of multiple shades. You know, where like the how much paint was applied and the drying process and all that. It has that watercolor. Like, just look up some of his art and you'll see. I think he uses colored pencils. I'm not sure, but I look at it and I think of it as like watercolor. And Xrd's visuals were actually much more anime than Daisuke's artwork. They were a lot more like bright and saturated and colorful, which is cool, and that game does look great. But what I think is really interesting and kind of funny is that Strive actually, I think, looks more like his concept art and just his artwork in general. And that also means that it's just slightly less saturated, you know? So Baiken always had darker colored hair. Like, it was always like a darker, like, magenta kind of shade in the older games. And then in Xrd, her hair was a lot lighter pink color. And now she's back to being the darker red, which I think looks great. I think she looks really good. Visually, I mean, her tits are huge, but that's nothing new. I am shocked they feel bigger. I don't know. They feel like they're bigger. I mean, she's always had that. And then, so we saw the trailer, and I was like, oh shit, her theme is badass. It's so cool sounding. She looks so cool. She looks really cool. Her theme is like this Japanese chant that goes into this like crazy rock song, but it's like a fusion thing. Her themes have always incorporated that kind of like classical Japanese instruments and little sounds and stuff like that. She still has the badass intro where it's basically, her intro is just a big reference to like a samurai movie where it's in like, now it's in like black and white, and there's a shot of her, it's her walking like through a field, and there's like a narrator like telling a story or something, and like text is appearing on the screen, and then it pulls back and she unsheaths her sword. She has one arm, so she has to hold the sheath in her mouth, and then she pulls out the sword and slashes the screen, and the like black and white filter gets slashed away, and then it like zooms in on her, and she, oh, she's so fucking cool. She's so cool. And then with her trailer, really quickly, they usually, the last couple characters, pardon me, they waited a little while, like I want to say they would release the trailer like a week or two before, like, maybe like a week before release, and then they would release a little over a week, I want to say, before release is when the trailer would come out, and then they would release the starter guide like a day or two before the release. For Baiken, they released both on the same day, which was interesting. And I was surprised, interested. It's very intriguing what they did with her. So Baiken has been around. She's been in, I think, literally every game. Eventually, you know. Baiken's been around since the original Guilty Gear on the PlayStation in 1997. And she's always had, like, she's such a badass design. She's so cool. And she's really popular. Like, you look at her and you're like, this is a cool-ass character. But from a gameplay perspective, she's always been weird. She's been very niche. And this is why there's the meme about, like, Baiken, quote-unquote Baiken mains who, like, yeah, they main Baiken, but they don't even own the game. They just think she's hot. So Baiken has always had this kind of playstyle that was focused around defense and counterattacks, which is very uncharacteristic for Guilty Gear, which is a series that has really crazy high-pressure offense and block strings, and where getting a single knockdown can lead into tons of pressure, right? So her kit has basically been reworked at least 3 times now. I don't know if she probably plays differently in she might even play differently in, I don't know for sure, she might even play differently in games pre-XX. I know her from XX, like plus R onwards. So now we have at least 3 versions of Baiken. So back in XX, that's all I can speak for her, and plus R. That's the oldest I can talk about, really, that I have knowledge of. So in plus R, for instance, at least, she had this system of the mechanic is always like, fighting games will have like 100 terms for the same mechanic because every series has to come up with a different one to make theirs special. But it's usually called either alpha counters or guard cancels. It's basically, all it is you're blocking, and while you are actively blocking, you can't just be holding back, while you're actively blocking a move, you basically do a counter attack. You do some kind of input, usually like forward and a button or something like that, and you do a counter attack. So this comes from like Street Fighter Alpha, where like you could be blocking and then you would press like forward plus I think 3 buttons and then you do a counter. Lots of games have this. I think the first series to do it was like King of Fighters, maybe an earlier SNK, but at least King of Fighters, where you have there it's called guard cancels, where like you're blocking, you press forward and like 2 specific buttons, and you spin a bar and you do a counter attack while you're blocking. Guilty Gear has always had them. They're called, well, Guilty Gear's always had them. They're called like dead angle attacks, and then in Strive those got changed to yellow Roman cancels. It's complicated. There's a lot of system mechanics going on here. Basically, Baiken's deal is that in plus R, she had these guard cancels where she would be blocking, and then she would do, it's a weird input. It's going back to down. So she would go from back to down and then a button. And she basically has these guard cancel. So she has like 4 or 5 different options to like do a guard cancel with, because there's 5 buttons. And so it's like 5 follow-ups essentially. And she has like, she throws a little spinny thing, like a spinny blade wheel, out of her like prosthetic arm. She what was another one? She does like a little. There's one where she has like she'll like do a quick dash that can like cross up. She has one where she just does like a straight up counter attack where she like stabs her sword, and then she has like an overhead thing where she leaps. Does a little slash in the air, like a crescent slash in the air. And then she had one where she just pulls out like a gun. It shoots you. So she had these guard cancel follow-ups, and then she had a command run. So it was a special move that just made her run, but then once you did the command run, you could press one of the any attack button, and the corresponding like guard cancel follow-up would you would do that move. So like you do like guard cancel with punch and it would do the spinny attack, or you could do the command run and then hit punch and you'll do the spinny attack without, you know, having to be blocking, you know, without doing it out of a block. So she had all these kind of complicated combos or execution intensive combos where you're like doing command run because it's like a half circle motion, because of course it is. You're doing like command run into like immediately cancel it into a follow-up and then like do all this stuff. So Baiken in plus R at least is really strong. She's considered top 3 in a game that's very well balanced. So she's considered like, yeah, if you've ever played, not a lot of people play her because she is very weird and defense oriented, but she's you very rarely run into a Baiken player unless they're really good. And when you play a good Baiken player, they're monsters, dude. They, like, you end up playing in this really weird way where you have to play against her differently from anyone else, which is sort of how a lot of Guilty Gear characters work, but her especially, because you kind of have to, like, minimize the situations in which she's blocking something from you. It's a really interesting dynamic, like, playstyle that she creates, where you're only going for, like, hits that are you think you can guarantee, because you don't want to get punished by her guard cancels. Then, in Xrd, they basically reworked her. And they said, okay, Baiken, she's really popular, but her gameplay is weird, and a lot of people don't like playing her because she is this weird defensive character. And so in Xrd, they basically changed, instead of having guard cancels, these moves that she would do out of a block stun, they replaced it with a counter attack stance, which is much, much easier to understand, like to wrap your head around. So instead of a reactive thing, it was a preemptive thing. Which kind of goes along with her. There's been this like struggle, I think, with like nailing Baiken has like a certain character fantasy. That's a term that they used at Riot, I remember, in League. They called it character fantasy, which is basically where you look at a character and you imagine what they would do. Like, you play this character because you want to do this cool thing, and it's kind of where their aesthetics and their visuals and their personality and their animations combine with their gameplay design, their actual gameplay design. You look at a character who's like, I don't know, what's a good example? Characters who are like big walking arsenals, right? In a fighting game, for instance. And you can just imagine, like, you look at Snake, right, in Smash Brothers, and you think about like all these tools that Snake has, and then you see him like laying down mines and throwing grenades and doing all this tricky stuff, and you're like, this feels right for Snake, right? Because like his whole deal, his series is all about sneaking and espionage, and being so his fighting style is very indirect, and he like uses a lot of you know, items and props and stuff like that. Baiken's, I think her character fantasy is that she is this cool samurai, this gruff wandering samurai who doesn't really have any kind of like code of honor, and she's like roughed up. She has this tattered kimono. She's got one arm, and she uses that arm as like a prosthetic that she attaches all these like ninja tools or like special tools to, where she has like a chain on it that she like throws out. It's like a hook. And she's like, but she has this like kind of savage, she has this like savage technique. She's kind of like a wild person. And so she's doing these, she's screeching and screaming and tatami gaishi. But she's also, she isn't just like a crazy berserker. She's like making these aggressive but like precise strikes and catching your attacks and counterattacking and doing this cool stuff. And she's like this intersection of like brutality and technique. I think that's like, that is what is cool about Baiken. And they've kind of bounced back and forth on how they want to emulate that in gameplay. So in Xrd, they changed it to being, they kept a lot of her kit, but they changed it to be basically a stance that you go into. And if you, so there's like a preemptive element to it. So it's still kind of capturing that sort of like masterful technique idea with her. But she's also, it's a little easier to understand. So you basically, you catch an attack and then you hit a button and it does the follow-up, right? The corresponding follow-up. In Stride, and still in Xrd, she was not super highly played. Because again, she was still weird, and her style was different. So now in Strive, I was kind of surprised. She has none of that. Oh, my Wi-Fi came back. She has none. She doesn't have any of her counters, none of her guard cancels. She has a counterattack stance. Sorry. So they kept this stance. She still has a stance. It's like quarter circle forward P. And she does a little stance. And if it's like close ranged enough that she blocks your attack, she'll do like a counterattack throw, right? So fair. If it's far away enough, she'll just parry the move away. But no follow-ups, none of that. She doesn't have her command run anymore. All of that is gone. All that weird stuff is gone. Her defensive playstyle is somewhat kept. But they have instead removed the guard cancel mechanics and her whole counterattack deal, and instead replaced it with a really interesting mechanic that I've never seen before. So basically, Baiken's new mechanic is that she can tether herself to the enemy. So she has two ways to do this. She has a command grab. She has the same, like, she throws out her, like, she has, like, two versions. She throws out one of them is, like, a rope with a little, I don't know, like, ball thing on it. And that, like, sticks you to her. And then she also has a, another version, that's, like, the slash version, I think, that sticks you to her. She has, like, a heavy slash version that is just like a hook and it'll pull you towards her, but she can also do a follow-up like running slash. That's kind of, it looks cool. However, the really interesting thing is the tether, which is the whole sticky part. She also gets it when she just does like a normal ground throw on you. So either the command grab or just a grounded throw. And she puts this tether between you and her, and essentially it pulls the other character towards her. And it's so interesting because it's like a physics-based tool in a 2D fighting game, which is not common. I'm racking my brain trying to think of something else that works like that, because generally physics in fighting games, there isn't like much of a physics engine, so to speak, and like there would be in other games. Physics are generally like very specifically tuned, if that makes sense. Like this thing goes at, like, if you throw you know, there's characters who throw, you know, they'll throw a thing in an arc, right? They'll throw a poison in SF5. She throws a Molotov in an arc. But, like, the arc is set, and it doesn't have any physics when it hits the ground. It's just, it's set. It's very rare that you actually see something where it's like, yeah, this is kind of like a dynamic physics object. And it's even more interesting that it's happening between, the closest thing I think, maybe like Venom? Like Venom's balls, like when he sets them in the air and then they can, like, he hits one and then he can knock them against each other and they can, like, bounce around. Like, his pool balls are kind of like that, but this is like a really extreme version of that, where you can, it's much more, I think I just used the word dynamic, but like that's really what it is. It's pardon me. You can, there's so many weird combos. Like, so this tether, the pulling effect, I think like the further away you are, the more it pulls you. So there's this weird push and pull physics going on, and she can hit you in all these really interesting ways. There were some really, really wild looking combos where, like, she's let me pull up the trailer now that I have my Wi-Fi back. There were some really crazy looking, let's look at the starter guide. She, yeah, so the first thing they show, so she throws, her stage looks gorgeous, by the way. It's like this, it's like a sunset on like a Japanese bridge. It's so cool looking. So she throws her, she does a ground throw, which gives her the tether. She gets the tether. And, oh, they changed the way that her throw looks. Okay. Okay, so here's a little story. Baiken's throw animation is one of my favorite throw animations ever. There's certain, like, animations in fighting games that just kind of live in my head that I just think about every so often. Her throw is one of them, like her old ones. What is her throw? I'm trying to remember what it looks like in Excerpt. At least in XX, what it is she grabs you, throws you down, and then stabs you and stabs your midsection, and then kicks you away, and you just go tumbling down. It's so cool. Now, what she does is she does a grab, throws you down. She, like, basically pulls this rope up, like she's tightening the rope. Oh, it's like the little rope that attaches to, like, her waist. That's cool. And then she still kicks you, but she's kicking you upward at an angle. So this Milia falls on the ground, and then Baiken jumps backward let's get a... So Baiken, she can land on the ground. She jumps backward and then she doesn't air dash. She gets pulled by the tether upwards, like closer towards Milia. She jumps backward and then gets like kind of like slingshot around. Lands. So she basically does a really high empty jump. Lands. Gets another... Is that her sweep? No. She gets like a hit and then converts it into tatami. And then the tatami, when it pops up, it bounces Milia forward in the air. So she's like above Baiken. And then she starts falling back down. And then Baiken catches her. So instead of getting knocked away by the tatami, so if she didn't have... So if she didn't have the tether, Milia would have just gotten blown away by the tatami. Because she had the tether, Milia basically gets pulled back down. Baiken hits her with, that looks like a 5k, 6k, so kick. Oh my god, and by the 6k, which is, Baiken does this kind of like standing kick where she just kind of like, what would you say, just kind of like thrust with her foot. Would have knocked Milia all the like far away again, but again she gets pulled back. Another tatami. So she does like normal, command normal, knock her away, pulls her back on the tether, which is all being done automatically, just by the physics of the tether, into a special, into tatami again, and then... Okay, well she misses that. She might have been able to get another follow-up or something, but that is crazy. God, the combos... Holy shit, hang on. So, oh, okay, so the command throw, it's a little bell. It's a little bell that's on her belt that she throws out on the tether. So she throws it, even if you block it, you get tethered to her. So she does this little string. She does a string into the command grab, tethers Milia towards her. Milia's still blocking, and then every time Milia blocks one of Baiken's attacks, and there should be pushback, Baiken gets pulled back towards her. That is so wild. Hang on, there's some really clean looking combos with this tether. Okay, yeah, so it's called Kabari. Okay, yeah, so she tethers. Oh man, her backwalk animation is so cool. She just like kind of slinks back. Okay, let's see some combos. Okay, yeah, so they always... Okay, so the further you are away, the more you get pulled close. Okay, here's the real combo. So... Okay, so... She hits Anji with like a counter hit command grab with the bell. Tethers him towards her. Does, it looks like close slash 2S or 2H, I'm not sure, into tatami, which bounces him upward, and then he again gets like knocked up above her into forward, so 5k, 6k, tatami again. Oh, into close slash again, into it looks like 6H, into the hook. Into the hook. So this looks like a very common setup for her. Oh, this is so badass. I'm at around like a minute. It was like at a minute 15, minute 20. So she hits him with that's so cool. So she pulls him in, does this string that ends with a tatami that knocks him up, and then the tether pulls him back towards her. She picks it up with some kickies into tatami again, into a close slash, far slash, and then she ends the combo with the hook version of the command throw, which Anji is getting, he's all knocked away. How long does the tether last? Because it looks like it, I think when she uses the command grab, oh no, it falls away after a second. It might be like after a certain amount of time or damage or something like that. I'm not sure. That falls away, and then she Or it happens like around the same time that she throws out the hook, so I'm not sure. So she hits him with the tatami again. She does like, so she basically starts with the bell, hit tatami, knock them up, they fall, they get pulled back towards her because of the tether, hit tatami, hit, knocks them away, and then hook, while he's getting knocked away, the hook grabs him, and it looks like it doesn't finish, but it probably pulls him back. Or she can run up towards him. So cool. There's going to be so many cool setups with this. This actually looks so badass. I'm not seeing any other setups with the... She still has sort of her cross-up thing because the slash, like the running attack follow-up that she gets off of her the hook chain grab is it can cross up. I think they said the way that it works is that she does like half circle forward heavy slash, and then like when she can either hit it again or release the button or something like that. Or I think so like she can hold it down and then she'll start running forward. And then when you let go of the button, she'll do the slash. And she can run through you when she's doing that. So there's some clean, cool-ass looking combos. Oh, they made Yozansen easier to do. Yozansen is her... it's her air special where she just like... kind of swings another sword in the air in like a circle around her. It's always been a cool looking special, and it looks great here. But she can only do it in the air, but it used to be a DP motion, and that's a pain to do because usually with moves like this, you end up tiger kneeing them, which basically just means if you do the move, you basically do the input on the ground, but before you hit the button, like the attack button, you hit up to jump, and then you hit the attack button, and then the game basically sees your other input and says, oh, you wanted to do Yozansen. So then you do Yozansen, and if your timing is tight enough, you can do it like almost as soon as you leave the ground. It's called tiger kneeing, the input. You do an air special, you do the input on the ground, and then jump right before you hit the button to basically lock in that you're doing, that's the move that you want. So as you time it so that basically as soon as you jump, the game recognizes that you wanted to do, you did the motion for it. And doing that off of a DP motion, doing that from like down forward is really like, you know, a downward horizontal or diagonal angle, downward diagonal is really annoying. And it's really tricky. Doing it from a quarter circle, where you can just go from down to forward to up in like one motion, is actually a lot easier. So they made Yozansen a quarter circle motion instead. So it should be easier to do. We haven't seen... So she does like a jump in Yozansen, and then she does a little sequence on the ground into a knockdown. Okay, it looks like a pretty basic like B&B combo. I'm really curious about tether setups. I'm really curious about setups with the tether. Like, I want to see more cool combos with her command grabs. Oh yeah, she has a really cool super now, where she hits you. She just pulls out a gun. She just pulls out like a big. It's like a flintlock pistol, except it shoots fireworks. That's badass. It's a really cool visual, the firework effect. Yeah, she looks awesome. I am so down for this character. They have a little more gameplay of her. She can do it in the air too. Wow, huh? Yeah, her animation just looks so good. Like, everything is so, like, There's so much motion. One thing that's nice about Strive compared to Exerd is that there's certain things that were always a little stiff, just animation-wise. Like, I remember Axel's chains, when he throws his chains. So, traditionally in the series, Axel's chains were just kind of, like, straight. They were just straight when he threw them out, because there was, like, 2D sprites, and it was just easier. And then in Exerd, they kind of kept that look for it, and it was always kind of stiff. In Strive, they added like the really nice detail of his, like, he throws out the chain and it's straight until it hits the, basically it stops, like he pulls it, and then it, like, there's just a little shake on the chain from the momentum, like carrying down the length of the chain after it stops. What's really funny is that it looks like the guy playing in the video, the guy playing Baiken looks like he's just straight up missing shit. Like they weren't sure of all the combos yet. Yeah, so she is losing part of what made her unique. However, they have replaced it with something equally unique, and in fact arguably more so. This whole tether mechanic is one of the neatest things I've seen in a fighting game in a long time. Arxis has been knocking it out of the park with all the DLC characters. So many interesting designs, so many cool gameplay ideas. Just so, like, commend them. Because, like, you know, when the game first came out, there was some grievances with characters losing moves, losing things, and the game feeling a little more pared down and simplified and things like that. And that was the concern. It's like, you know, you look at the two characters that were added in Strive that were new, and it was, you know, Giovanna and Nagoriyuki. Giovanna was very beginner friendly, and Nagoriyuki was a fairly difficult, fairly technical character. And so it's like, what is the direction that they're going to go with? Are they going to make all the DLC characters really easy? Like, what's going on? How are they, like, what kind of a skill floor and skill ceiling are they shooting for with these characters? And the fact that the new characters are so complex in such interesting ways. And here's the thing that's interesting is, like, I don't think that's a bad thing, because not every character is going to be, you're going to pick it up immediately, you're going to click with, right? That's how the series has worked in general. So, like, people were lamenting, oh my god, Happy Chaos, he's so complicated. I am, like, not a great fighting game player by any means, right? My execution's, like, pretty bad. But, like, I picked up Happy Chaos, and, like, he felt very natural to me. You know, I tried Gold Lewis. His execution was like, I just can't do the half circles because I play on a keyboard and it's just a bitch and I don't want to deal with it. And then Jacko just wasn't really my thing. I would say all these characters have, like, a pretty, like, decent level of complexity to them. But Happy Chaos was way easier for me to just, like, understand and get a feel for, despite the fact that he has, like, 2 resources and this, like, weird negative edge shot thing and all this stuff going on. But he's so fun. He's such a cool character. And character complexity is going to be worth it for different people. I think what they're going for now is that, with Baiken, is they want her to be a little more approachable, but still keep some of her unique ideas, or her unique kind of fantasy of her technique, her skill, and her whole deal with, like, using these, like, extra tools and stuff in addition to her sword. I'm looking forward to her. And also she's dropping with a brand new feature that they teased or they talked about before the game came out. It was supposed to be in the launch. It was supposed to be in the game at launch, but COVID fucked up their development, so stuff had to basically get pushed backwards. The what the heck? What's it called? Combo. I don't know, combo network? I don't know what you'd call it. So basically, there's this really cool feature in Strive where you can have the game, you can do a combo, you can go in training mode, you can have the game record your combo, and it will record it in the same way that it would record like a like a combo trial. So like you do the actions, you do your moves and all that, and it records it, and then it shows every move in order as those like steps, that like step-by-step thing, like you know, move by move by move. The same way that, like, if you've ever seen a combo trial in a fighting game, that same like look, it shows you, you know, the list, the order of the attacks and all that of the combo. And you can basically make one of those yourself, and you can store them and save them. And you can literally like create your own combos and then test them with the you can pull it up and test it basically, and it'll do the same. Pardon me. It'll do the same. Like, you know, every God, what do you call, you know, every step, like it'll like light up once you like, if you do that part correctly, right? The same way, basically, you can create your own combo trial. And they were talking about this thing because there's no combo trials in the game. There's only like, they have like 2 or 3 combos for each character in the like challenge mode. The combo trial, and the challenge mode, or what was it even called? Trial mode? It's like it's really just like an educational, like fundamental learning tool. So what they said, what they wanted to do was have a system where you can make your own combo and then upload that combo to the network. And then you can go online and you can see people's combos and then download them and try them out. So, which is an amazing feature. So for instance, they showed off this feature, which it's going to be dropping with the Baiken update. They showed off this feature, and essentially what it is like, you go, there's like a little extra thing in like the single player learning mode, or learning tab on the menu, and it says like combos or something, or trials, I forget what it is, and you can like make your own, and then you can like search, and you can go, and when you click search, it basically brings you to a interface where you have a list you can organize by like let me pull it up. Let me pull it up because they had a good demonstration. I haven't committed the look of the menu. So yeah, so on the offline thing, they added a thing underneath Dojo for combo. So you can, yeah, so you can record your combos, you can save them, you can name them different things, and then you can go to combo search, and then it basically takes you to a screen where it has like there's a bunch of different tabs. It's like the first one is like recommended for you. So it's probably like, I'm assuming that's like whatever your most played character is, or it'll take your most played characters and it'll just put them in order. So like in this example, it's like Soul, Kai, Mei. So like you main Soul, it's going to show you Soul combos. So it has like recommended combos, and it actually divides it into combos and set play, which is really cool. Set play is what you do basically once you knock your opponent down. It's basically like a setup. So set play is like really important in games like this, because a lot of things was getting a good knockdown and then transitioning that into more offense is like a kind of a core part of Guilty Gear, even though it's even though it's slightly de-emphasized in Strive. So what you can do, so what they have the demonstration. So you have all the recommended ones, which is like a browser. You have like your saved, they call it the combo recipe. They have another tab for the ones you've made. They have, you can follow people. So if there's like a guy and you just think his combos are sick, because there's certain people who are like combo artists. You can follow them, and then whenever they upload a combo, you can check it out. And then creator list. Oh, okay. So creator, they have like a creator list, which is just like significant people on the combo leaderboard. So they have this list of like, so the top person has 12 combos uploaded and 6 set plays. They have, and you can like combos too. That's nice. That's a good feature. And then you can like search for things. And there's a bunch of different search conditions. You can search for like a specific player. You can search for a, there's a bunch of filters you can apply. So you can search for a certain player. You can search for a certain character. So you could say like, I want to look for this guy, but only his like Kai combos. You can look for, you can search for the enemy character, because in Guilty Gear there's a bunch of different, sometimes combos don't work because of like characters have weird hurt boxes or one reason or another, or there's like different weight classes in Guilty Gear, so falling speed is different and all that. That can change things. So some combos don't work on some characters. Game version. I just noticed that. One of the search filters is game version. Can you play like different versions? Can you play like different patches of the game? Could you play like a previous patch? It's actually really cool. That's a really cool idea. And it says something about like tags. Oh yeah, so then they go to like the search condition. I'm sorry, I think the system is so cool. So it's basically like the search condition thing is basically the search page is basically, it's Mario Maker but for combos. So they have this list, and it's like the first one is an Axel combo, and it's titled like combo, and these are all in like separate brackets, which I'm assuming are tags. So combo, mid-range, standing, and P start, so punch start. And it has like, looks like 5 plays and 2 likes and an 80% clear rate. So it's literally like Mario Maker. So like, oh my god. So dude, there's gonna be so many Panda Global videos on like the hardest Guilty Gear combos, where it's like, what is the most played combo with the lowest clear rate? That's gonna be sick to find out. So you can like break it down by like, so I'm imagining like this is what the search would look like if I want to like, okay, so I'm playing Happy Chaos. Does Happy Chaos have any combos that start off of like I don't know, like what combos can I do off of like a close slash? In like wait, let me come up with something. So let's say, oh, I always hit, I hit Happy Chaos's 2S, his crouching slash, a lot mid-screen. I throw it out as a poke, and I land it, but I'm not able to convert it into anything. So let me search up Happy Chaos 2S, or yeah, like 2S start mid-screen, right? And then you can find combos for that. You can view the combo or set play recipe before downloading it. So you can look at it before you add it to your list. This is such a cool feature. So then you can play it. You don't actually have to download it. You can actually just play it. You can look at other combos from that player. You can have like a little profile. Oh yeah, so they have like a demonstration of like the tags. So tags, it's like outside of the corner, 0% gauge. So you don't need any meter, and do it mid-screen. So it's like a mid-screen, reliable bread and butter. It starts with like... Okay, so yeah, it starts like... And it's literally just a combo trial. You can change to another combo recipe while attempting a combo, and then you can change it at any time. And you can play the sample. Dude, this is so cool. You can, like, play the example. That's so badass. Yeah. That's such a cool feature. Oh, I'm glad that it's finally getting added. I was like, are they gonna add it? Are they gonna add that thing? That's gonna be like really fun. Like, that's almost like it's practically single player content. You know, there's people who just really like doing combos, and they're gonna have a field day with this. They're gonna be like, oh my god, I literally have endless content to do. The people who just love doing combo trials. Yeah, it's also going to be a great resource for learning characters, because you can go find, like, what's the highest rated, I don't know, who's the highest rated Anji player, you know? Does he make combos? What are his, what does he use? You literally get to, like, practice, like, some of the highest rated players. That's so cool. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the final roster for KoF 15 has been announced. I want to sort of make this quick just because I'm like getting tired. Last character was Elizabeth. Sorry. Elizabeth. Okay, so immediately I have a sticking point with this. So her name is Elizabeth. That's how it's spelled. It's spelled like the English name Elizabeth. However, in Japanese, it's spelled Elisabetto. It's spelled Elizabeth. So if you actually go to, like, you go to the trailer where they have the kana. Okay, she looks really cool. So it's literally Elisabetto. It's a toe. Somehow, Burantorshu. Japanese doesn't really have a ch sound, so shu is kind of like the closest that they get. No, they do have a chu sound. What the fuck am I talking about? Yeah, chu. Chu is the onomatopoeia for kiss. So Elizabeth. So technically, it's spelled Elizabeth Blandtorch in English. However, in the actual pronunciation is Elizabeth Blandtorch. Why? Why is it like that? Why would you do that? How did you end up spelling it with an H? If it was like Elizabeth, if it was actually Elizabeth, it would be spelled with a su, but it's spelled with a toe. It's spelled with a su. What the fuck? SNK. Anyway, she looks cool. She looks pretty. In general, I like characters who are well dressed. She's all dressed up. She's got like a vest and like cool. She has like a garter belt over her pants. She looks like a very. She looks like a slightly fantasy like horse rider, like horse jockey. She has these cool like rainbow light effects. That's cool. Yeah, I think she has like these in the last appearance she was in. Was she in 13? I think she was. Her effects were more like just white light. She has like light powers. Here, I really like what they've done with it. They made it more like look like the like the rainbow that you get when you like refract when light goes through a crystal, like when it refracts out, when it splits up into a bunch of different colors. So she just like these kind of wavy rainbow flashy effects. I think it looks really good. Some effects in this game I think look really good and some don't. I think I've been over this before, but yeah, for her Oh, who else was I thinking about that had like good looking effects in 15? Oh, Hydern. Right. So I was thinking, I'm curious about getting 15. I think I might. Let's see. I got a full picture of the full roster. Is this the full roster? I think so. I actually don't see Elizabeth. She's hiding somewhere here, I'm sure. But I got basically the full roster. And I'm looking at it, and there's been a couple characters that I've really liked in KoF, or that I've gravitated towards that I find fun. Those would be Yamazaki, Mature, Hydern, and Kula. Unfortunately, Yamazaki and Mature are not in the game, which is a shame. I think Yamazaki's super cool. However, Hydern and Kula are, so if anyone's on my team, it would probably be them. I just think Hydern looks cool, and in this game, his effects are amazing. So Hydern's whole aesthetic is that he's this, like, military special operative with, like, energy powers. And he has these really clean, precise strikes. And his attacks have always felt like he's manipulating, like, energy into, like, a sharp blade or a razor or something like that. Where he's just, like, doing these, like, quick cuts with his hands. Like he's making razors at his fingertips or something like that. And he's just like slash, slash, slash. He's really clean, well, like, placed strikes. I always thought that was so cool. And his effects, and in 15, I think he looks really cool. Because they really honed in on a lot of the other, like, energy effects throughout most of the series, honestly, have been more like fiery or like billowing energy, plasma, fire, or something like that, you know, or like rushes of energy, right? Like wind almost. But Hydern's attacks were always much more focused and contained, and like very pointed. And they did a really good job, I think, capturing that, like showing that in his gameplay. Also the sound design, like the sound effects when he like does his slashes. It's like, I'm gonna turn off the volume. I'm pulling up the video. It's like this. It feels like it hurts, right? Like the slash slash, like it feels almost like he's stabbing or slashing with his hands. Like it feels like it hurts. It sounds like it hurts. Like his whole presentation is I think really cool in this game. So of a potential team, probably, because Cool is really easy to play is the thing. Cool is really easy to play. I've enjoyed her as, like, I don't enjoy a lot of the I'm not like really a Shoto guy. I'm not a big fan of many of the Shotos gameplay wise in KoF, but I find Kula enjoyable. I think mostly because of her normals. I like how they feel. So, like, is this the full roster? I thought I'm looking at like a big picture of them. I might try out Vanessa. I've always thought Vanessa was cool because she's like a fighter brawler character. But I never got the hang of her. Maybe if they make some of her like inputs a little less like complex, we'll see. There's a lot of characters it's like I don't really care that much for gameplay wise. I've always wanted to try King. I really like King. I love King as a character. I've just never been super into her gameplay for some reason. I might check out Dolores. I might check out... King of Dinosaurs honestly looks really cool. He's a big dinosaur guy. Yeah, I think that's... I'll look for, like, a last one. Like, Hydern, Kula... and I'll bounce around. I'll find a third, you know. Maybe K-Dash? I don't know. They have like the full roster on the website. Just make sure I don't miss anyone. There's 39 characters in this game. There's quite a bit. I never tried out Shune. The funny thing about Shune is that despite the fact that it's really funny because his design is so bad, but it's his alternate colors like fix it. It's really weird. Like they tone down how many colors he has going on, and it looks so much better. Probably not Shermie. I like Shermie, but she has like a kind of weird play style. Kukri might be cool. I'll check out what Cronin does. Yeah, those are who I'm looking at. It's my look-see for the future. The future of KoF. Also, if they ever add Yamazaki, I'll play him. Or Mature. I mean, technically, Mature and Vice should be alive now, officially. I mean, Mature and Vice, I'm pretty sure they've been dead in more games they've made appearances in than they've been alive. Did I say that right? Of all the games that they've made appearances in, I'm pretty sure that they're dead in most of them, and they're just there because, I don't know, Iori is seeing their spirits. But, you know, it's cool, it's whatever. Now that everyone's revived, if they were to add Vice and Mature back into the game, who would they... Who would they, what team would she be on? Because Iori's already on, Team Sacred Treasures with, Kyo and Chizuru. That's her name. Because she's usually been on a team with, like, Iori, right? Do they have like a list of all the teams she's been? I don't even, like, who would she make a comeback with? Maybe another Orochi character? Maybe they'll add like an Orochi villain? And maybe they'll add another Orochi character. Maybe like Orochi himself. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe like, you know, Chrysalid or one of those guys, Gonitz. Maybe they'll bring one of them back. Or maybe a totally new one. And they'll be on the... Yeah. And they'll be on a team with that person. Maybe like Rugal? She was like... They were both secretaries for Rugal, right? And you're pretty much always on a team with like... Yeah. Pretty much usually on a team with like Iori, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, okay. So, but he's taken. 94. Yeah, well, she's not playable at 94. 96. They're on Team Rival. 97. Well, 97 they're dead, and Iori joins alone. 98 they come back because it's a non-canon game. 13 they are back on. Where the hell are they? I don't know. And then 14? I don't know if they're playable in 14. 14 has so many characters. Jesus Christ. Yeah. All right. I think I'm ready to call it a day. I think I'm ready to call it a day. And say goodbye. If you've been listening to me talk for like 2 and 3/4 of an hour, thank you very much. This was an interesting week for news. I'm sorry this episode came out a day late. But yeah, I will. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will definitely get to them next time. Yeah, thank you for all the support and all that. I'm so glad to finally be back making videos. Being sick sucked. Just not being able to work or do anything. It felt so refreshing to finally publish something and be like, okay, I made a video. It felt good. Anyway, later. Goodbye.